Welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways, Coyote in the Highlands. Right here you can see a Jackery solar panel. Let's go in here a little bit. And there's the Jackery 1500, which is what we're going to talk about today. Back up a little bit. What we are doing with right now is this is a shed. It's not completely built. It's only half high at the moment. And it's earth-filled cinder blocks, which produces a little bit of thermal mass and helps keep things just a little cooler or a little more stable in the wintertime. I'm going to get my camera back together here. In the summertime, it keeps things cooler. In the wintertime, it keeps things more stable. It'll end up being double-walled because I'll put some earth bags around the outside, starting with the south facing because that's the narrow wall here that gets the most sun, and then we'll go to the west facing because summertime. So this is the Jackery 1500, Jackery Explorer 1500, and it has a lot of features. So it's supposed to be a 1500 watt hour. People don't use amp hours anymore. Watt hour solar generator is what they call it. So you have your solar inputs here. That's these cords are going to the solar panels. It has the 1500 has a system where you can plug multiple panels into a Y, cable Y, and that allows you to put in 400 watts at a time. Because we're doing laundry this morning, I have the panel that you saw at the beginning of the video hooked up to catch some extra morning sun. The other two panels are going up and over the wall at the moment, and are basically laying flat on the ground on the south side because I don't need a lot of elevation after spring starts to get good solar exposure. We're in the desert. The solar is king out here. So you've got a DC out, okay, and that DC plug right now is running the freezer. We have a 55-liter electric freezer. And then you have your AC out, which is a pure sine wave 1800 watt inverter. In theory, that should actually run my air fryer, and it will run a smaller air fryer, but the truth is it really doesn't. 1800 watts is a little, you're really pushing it, okay? Either that or I have a spike draw. You know, it's entirely possible the air fryer actually draws 2000 when it says it's drawing 1750. You know, electricity is a little funny that way. And you have my Milwaukee tool charger. I use that constantly. And then down here we have a DC USB. It has a USB-C, USB standard 5 volt 2.4, and then it has another standard USB which also does the Qualcomm 3.0 quick charge, which is incredibly useful if you happen to have devices that quick charge that way. Some of our phones do. So what is there to say about this? I've been using this as the main house system for almost a year through travel and other stuff. There's your display. It's on for a moment. It'll turn off. You have to push the button to get it on. Right now we're at 88%. There's currently 1 watt of output, and that's just the phantom draw from the inverter. The freezer's off at the moment. Input is 174, so 100 of that is coming from the extra panel. We've been doing laundry this morning, which is the extension cord that's plugged in, and that draws some power out. We started the morning at 86% though. We're at 89%, and the sun's been up for a couple hours, so after 2 loads of laundry, that's pretty fantastic. So here's the deal with this. You don't want to draw it down below 50% if you can avoid it. That's one of the things about all of the solar systems is your capacity. You really, to save your batteries, whether they're lithium ion or lead acid, you want to not draw them down too much too often. In this case, I like to not let it get below 70% because I'd like this thing to last for a very long time. And the less you draw down, the longer your battery life is. Lithium seems to have a hard limit on cycles regardless, but I haven't run into that, and I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I don't know about that. So, oh yeah, you've got a flashlight on the side. This thing is so chunky and it weighs like 25 or 30 pounds. You don't want to carry it around as a flashlight, but there's a flashlight there if you need it. I have used it once or twice. It comes with a box, little bag, hard-sided bag of accessories. So that's your your wall charger, your 12-volt charger, because you can charge it while you're driving your car, and the little Y boxes for doing your solar. That all comes in there. So we've been using this extensively for quite a while now, and it is running our freezer on a daily basis. It's charging my tools, charges phones and tablets, especially for the kids, because it's just an extra spot that I'm not using on my desk. And it runs just fine. Generally speaking, with two 100-watt panels just laying down on the ground in northern Arizona in late winter and early spring, because I've been doing this, we've had this system set up for a couple of months, like on the property. I can do my charging of my tools and stuff in the morning, run it overnight, okay? That's no solar running the freezer overnight. And I'll come out in the morning and it'll be somewhere between 82 and 89%. So it's really doing great. The freezer's very efficient. Everything's fantastic. Okay, I could probably run the bigger freezer that I want off of this, but I want to put that on a more permanent solar system, which we'll talk about in other videos. So that's about all there is to say. This thing's expensive. It's not cheap. It's a good, solid performing system to do a small centralized household. Like, it's got all of the parts built in. You don't have to buy an inverter. You don't have to do a charge controller because it's already got a charge controller. It has a display that actually tells you information. If you look at the manual, it gives you good information. It has the USB ports. It has a DC socket. It does everything you need it to do. I would prefer that it have 2 DC sockets, maybe 3. I don't think that would be too much to ask in the product design, because honestly, I think 2 outlets on the AC inverter would be more than enough. But either way, as it is, it's a complete system. It does what I need it to do to run a small cabin or a yurt. To camp out in the desert. We camped out, did site security for an event a month ago or so, and we had this out there 9 days, just using 2 panels, and we ran everything we needed. Someone did actually have an electric cooker to cook rice, and I let them use this as their power source, and I thought it was going to be okay, because I'm like, oh yeah, it's rice. It's 15 minutes to do fried rice. Apparently it was an hour, and took this thing all the way down to 30%. It was already at like 85, because it was already dark, and the kids that were camping with us had been charging stuff all day. Anyway, it took it down pretty low. It recovered. Everything was fine, but that was a pretty heavy use. I wasn't expecting an hour to make fried rice in an electric skillet, but that's fine. It worked. It survived. That's where we're at with this. It's a household unit. It's not cheap. There's also the Blue L's, which are very similar. I like the Jackery. I like everything about it. And it will run a small cabin, off-grid life, and be portable and allow you to move around. And that's probably the most important thing to know about this. This is my own style review. I'm not doing the whole deep specs thing. I've been using this for almost a year, and this is what I do with it. Now, moving on, we're going to move outside a little bit and look at the solar panels. This isn't a solar panel review, but this is the panels. I propped one up this morning to catch a little extra sun because we're doing the laundry early. And then you've got this one. Don't put shade on your panels. Okay? And they fold up They have little zipper pockets in the back for the cords. They're pretty nice. They're not the sturdiest things in the world, and I really do think that they're probably going to start to give out in another year or so, just mechanically, because there's fabric joints and seams and stuff. But we'll see. We'll see how they last. I'm noticing just a little bit of fading on the fabric at this point, and that's what I'm concerned about, is UV brittleness on the housing, not the panels themselves. So that's that. Back to the Jackery, the 1500. All I can say is if you're in the market for a if you're in the market for a long-term usable portable solar solution, or you need something to get started off grid, this is a really good system. If you're going off grid, if you're doing an escape property, for an example, for a use case example, and you've just bought 1 acre in northern Arizona for $2,000, $3,000. That's not uncommon. And you've got a couple $1,000s to get out there. You can buy this in 2 panels, a good bell tent, whatever tent, cabin kit, starplate kit. Starplate kit's probably the most cost-efficient thing to do. Get your access, make sure your driveway's in, and just park, camp, settle out, and start building. And you'll have the power you need for your tools, at least cordless tools. You'll have the power you need for your tablets and stuff, and a little bit of freezer. Because honestly, I don't like to live off of canned meat, and I vastly prefer to be able to freeze enough meat at one time that I don't have to go to the store every day. That's about all I got for you. Fantastic unit. I'm very happy with it. The cost is the only factor I would consider a negative. All right? Stay sideways.